All right. All right. So now we are on to level 1.2. Okay. Now, what makes this level 1.2? It's just something different. It's not like it's hard, but yeah, it's easy stuff. Okay. Now we know that it's I, right? It's just I. Now I square. Now I square it's -1. Now, how come? Now, if you remember from last lesson, we encounter some situations like this, right? We say, oh, yeah, we have square root 3 times square root 3. And we talk about how it's better to figure this one out. And we said that it's so much easier if you can look at it this way. Okay, square root 3 times square root 3 is simply square root 3 times itself. That means square, and then square and the square root, they cancel each other out. So whenever you see square root 3 times square root 3 or any kind of square root, they're identical and they're multiplying by itself, okay, 2 times. That essentially means the square root will be gone. And the number, it's going to be by itself afterwards, okay? Now, what about I square? Well, I square, well, we know what I is from the last video, right? We know I, it's square roots of -1. So when we say I square, it is essentially saying that we have square root of -1 times square root of -1. Well, using the understanding that we had right here from the previous lesson, then we can say that, oh, you know what? It's equal to -1. Okay, so that's really what it is. It's very straightforward. Okay, now what about I cube? I cube, what would that be? Well, I cube, you can look at it I cube as this way. Like I cube means I times itself 3 times, right? So we can look at it this way. Okay. I cube, it's essentially I squared times I. We know what I squared is. We just did it earlier. Okay, right above. So we have -1 from I squared, and I is just I. So I cube, it's essentially -I. Okay. And then I to the fourth power is the same thing as I squared times I squared. And that is -1 times -1. Okay, I squared is -1 right there. And what is -1 times -1? It is 1. Okay, so it's not that hard. It's not that hard at all. All right. So we have that. Okay, we establish a very basic understanding of some powers of I. Okay, now we keep going, and we'll see something very interesting here. Then we head on to I to the fifth power, and we say, hey, yeah, what's I to the fifth power? And we say, oh yeah, that's easy. That's the same thing as I to the fourth power times I, right? Now you may wonder, hey, Miss Chan, why would you do I to the fourth times I? Can't you do something like I to the third power times I square? Sure, you could do it. But I choose to do I to the fourth power times I because I to the fourth power is a very nice number. You know what that number is? It's 1. So I don't have to worry about things like negative or I or whatever. It's just 1. It's easy, right? So I to the fifth power is simply I to the fourth times I, which is 1 times I. So it's just I. Okay, easy. What about I to the sixth power? Well, I to the sixth power is the same thing as I to the fourth power times I squared, which is 1 times what's I squared? I squared. It's yeah, -1. So -1. Okay. What about I to the seventh power? We say, oh, it's I to the fourth power times I cube, which is 1 times what's I cube? Oh, it's right here. Okay. It's -I. So we have -I as the answer. And then what about I to the eighth power? Well, I to the eighth power would be what is it? I to the fourth times I to the fourth power. What's I to the fourth? Oh, it's 1 times 1, which is 1. And now let's pause a moment and give yourself maybe like 10 seconds. Can you see something special? Can you see something special? Can you see that We have I right here and I right here. Can you see that we have -1 right here and -1 right here? Can you see that we have -I right here and -I right here? Can you see that we have a 1 right here and a 1 right here? Okay, can you see that? All right, so what's going on here? It's a pattern. Okay, it's a pattern. Now, before I mean, that's a reason. The reasoning it's right there in front of you. Okay, and we happen to see a pattern. Now, let's just carry out this pattern one more time. Let's take a little guess. Okay, what would you guess? What is I to the ninth power? Would you like to offer a guess? What's I to the ninth power? If you guess I, you are correct. What about I to the 10th power? What's I to the 10th power? All right. Would you make a guess? All right. If you guess I to the 10th power, it's equal to -1. You are correct. Okay. What about I to the 11th? Okay. I to the 11th power. We say, what's I to the 11th power? Did you guess -I? If you did, that's wonderful. And what about I to the 12th power? Okay. I to the 12th power. Let's see, did you guess 1? If you guessed 1, that would be wonderful. That would be brilliant. So there you go. Okay, you can see the patterns right here. Okay. So this pattern, okay, apparently has something to do with the number 4, if you can see it, and that's why when I designed this little handout, I put 4 in a single column. So you can see how it's going to cycle itself. Okay, you have I, you have -1, you have -I, you have 1. Okay, so now if you take a look at this, okay, there's a question on your handout and says, hey, can you recognize a pattern? I'm going to get you a moment to write down what you think about this pattern. Okay, just put it in your own words. Okay, pause the video, write it down in your own words, compare with your partner, your neighbor. All right, what do you write? And I think it's very important. I mean, you could not pause the video and just watch, but I really want you to take a few seconds and write down what you think. Okay, instead of just running the video, just listen to what I'm going to say. Okay, so take a moment to do that. All right, assuming that you have done your writing, and what you can see is that if you happen to have the I to the power of a number that it's a multiple of 4, okay, it is going to be 1, okay? And now what about the others? Okay, now some of you might think about odd number and even number, but that's not consistent. Okay, we don't want to use even number and odd number, but using the multiples of 4 would be very clear. What about the other ones? Okay, well, the other ones, some people like to use remainder, some people like to just go over as a cycle. I'm going to show you 2 different ways of doing it. I remember when I was in the high school, my teacher taught me this. So my teacher would draw a little cross and then write a little circle. Okay. And then it's like I, and then -1, and then -I, it's 1. Okay. So this is I to the first power, this is I square, this is I cube, this is I to the 4th power. Okay. So that's how it works, and you just keep on running through the cycle. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so if you have something like, what about I to the 18th power? So we can just go straight ahead and say 1, 2, 3, 4. But that's kind of time consuming. I think we can do a better way. So that, oh, sorry, my bad. I mean, I to the 18th power, not I equals to 18, I to the 18th power. Okay, so we say, oh yeah, I to the 18th power, that would be, well, that would equal to -1. Okay, if you just go through the cycle a few rounds. Okay. Now, that's kind of time consuming. I got a better way. Okay. Now, my better way is to make use of the understanding of this simple idea that I to the power of a number that it's a multiple of 4, it's always 1. So if we have I to the 18th power, I am going to break it down to I to the 16th power times, well, I squared, because that's how we get I to the 18th. And I break it down this way because I know this number is going to be 1. So all I need to take care of is the I squared. And I know what I squared is. It's just -1. Okay. So whenever you whenever you see a number, all you need to ask is this: is this number a multiple of 4? If it's not, then what is the previous number, previous multiple of 4? Okay, now I'm going to show you a few examples. Like, for example, I to the 25th power. It's not a multiple of 4, right? But what is the previous multiple of 4? That would be 24. So that means I'm going to break it down to I to the 24th power times I to the 1st power. And since that it's automatically, we go to 1. So my answer is just I. Okay, see, it's very easy. Very easy. Okay. Some people, they like to use the division, find out the remainder. So basically, they kind of do this. Okay. They would say this is the remainder being equal to 1, remainder being equal to 2, remainder being equal to 3, and remainder being 0 because you divide it by 4. Okay, so using the remainder to tell what the value is, that works too. Okay, I just want to do it easier. I don't want to think about division. So I just want to find out the multiples of 4. That's it. So for example, for this one, I to the 39th power, it will be I to the 36th power times I cube. And this is equal to 1, as we said. So I cube, it's -I. Done. Okay, so it looks scary. I remember when I was learning this, I was like, what is I to the 39th power? Scary, but it was, oh, it's not that hard. And then we look at some other crazier exponents, like, oh, what about I to the 120th power? And we're like, oh, that's easy. That is a multiple of 4 already. It's equal to 1. Takes no time, right? And then when people look at this, they're like, wow, this is a huge exponent. How are you going to do it? We say, oh, that's easy. Now, by the way, I'm not sure if you know this. Okay. Any number that ends in the hundreds, like 100, 200, 1500, 1600, they're all multiples of 4. So you can think about 2022, right? So you don't have to worry about 2000. Okay. I mean, that's automatically 1. Okay. I to the 2000 power, it's 1. Okay. So all you need to worry about is 22. And we say, oh, yeah, for 22 is not a multiple of 4. 20, it's a multiple of 4. So to break it down is to do it this way. Okay. So I to the 20 power times I square. And that it's going to be 1. So we just have I square. And I square is I square. It's -1. Okay, done. Easy, nice and easy. Okay, so that's really what's going on here. It's very straightforward. So next video, we'll talk about how to simplify some numbers with I, and that actually is, I would say, the most crucial part of today's lesson right here. Okay, so we now know how to handle I square, I cube, or some crazy exponents. It's just for fun, but we will have a question on the quiz and test. Okay, so you can bet your life about that kind of question. Okay, but what we will see in a moment, okay, in the next video, it's something really, really crucial and you do not want to miss. Okay, so come back and check out the next video.